Mrs Newbie first arrived to Hampstead Heath in 2011. So she has been a resident swan for 10 years now. Then she had a mate, but she has been unlucky in love in that she has lost more than one mate. They would mate for life, other than when they lose a mate.
I'm walking through the water. Oh look, they're going in.
And the funny about it is, this one, the she, he came in last year with a wife.
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah.
And he ran the wife and messed it up with her.
Oh, that was another one actually. I think
Was
this
it?
is another one again.
Oh my God. Yeah?
Yeah, her third partner.
You're joking. So this is he's gone. This is a new one. He was
Well, I think he
supposed.
was new last year because the other one died.
Yeah, but the other one died, but she had one signet left.
Yeah, and then then the male came and took
bullied
over.
away. Yeah, bullied his signet away as well. The poor.
Oh, they got killed, that one.
Yeah. It's a shame.
It was, yeah, horrible. The partner that she had in 2016 had a horrible accident where he flew into a building. He had been with her for a few years by then. After that, it did change a lot about her, and it's known that swans do grieve when they lose, well, a partner and a signet. And for a couple of years she became much more withdrawn and listless even. She lost her usual vibrancy. She didn't have much energy. Sometimes she wouldn't swim over for food. Well, it was very sad to see. In 2018, she built another nest and laid 2 eggs. But these eggs were unfertilized. But she carried on sitting on the eggs as if waiting for them to hatch.
She's got 2 eggs and yet she's been widowed 18 months.
Oh. Though since then a couple of other swans have flown onto the heath, she had shown no interest in any other potential suitors. And although a very spirited swan who defended her territory, she did at times seem rather lost. And it was only in 2020, as she had an incident where she flew and landed on a roof nearby. She was taken to the sanctuary just to have a check that she was all right. And it was there that she met another male swan who had also been taken to the sanctuary. They were in the same pen together, and it seemed that there was an instant connection between the two. The male swan took a liking to her, and when the time came that she was going to be returned and he would have stayed at the sanctuary, the male swan got quite agitated and were both calling to each other. So it was thought that maybe they shouldn't be separated and that the male swan could be brought back with Mrs Newbie, so they would then become a new couple. And for Mrs Newbie, having this stranger in what was her territory, it could have gone either way. And even for the male swan, just sort of being put in a new pond in a place that he'd never been to before, there was always a chance that he wouldn't want to stay and he could have just flown off. But as it turned out, once they were placed there together and they'd already made their connection, that the two were not going to be separated. He was later given the name Wallace.
So many babies. Emily?
Bye bye, baby.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, son.
Bye bye.
The first cygnet hatched on the 31st of May. Over the next couple of days, the rest of their cygnets hatched. So they had a family of 7 little cygnets. Well, everyone was delighting in the fact that Mrs Newbie had her new mate and a new family. And over the next couple of weeks, everyone enjoyed seeing the little cygnets. But my concern is always, because I know that the ponds are unprotected, and the particular pond where these 2 swans are is also a pond where they allow dogs to go into the water, supposedly in an area part of the pond. But in fact what happens is that people allow their dogs, well, not only are they running around off a lead, they also allow their dogs to go into the water anywhere. And around in the 2nd week in July, although it had been seen before that dogs were getting into the pond, and the parents become very protective when they have a young family. So it causes a lot of stress and agitation to the swans, and they will do anything to protect their young. But on this particular day, and there were witnesses who saw it happen, this dog entered the water, and Mrs Newbie immediately sort of put herself in the way to protect the cygnets, and this dog bit her, and she ended up with a serious bite. And also, for a swan to be bitten by a dog, it can always be a case where you don't know whether the swan will survive, because it's very easy for the wound to become infected. And she had to go to the sanctuary, and it was like nobody quite knew to start whether she would survive this attack. So this happy little fairy tale of the 2 swans and the widow and her mate could have come to an abrupt ending because of a dog allowed into the water whilst there's a new family of swans. But after she was taken to the sanctuary, It was up to Wallace to look after all the cygnets, and they just seemed lost. The cygnets were just swimming around as if looking for their mother. He was doing his best to try and keep them together, but everything changed after that day when she got bitten.
Yesterday evening, and I was sitting over in the distance. A dog, retriever, young retriever, managed to get through the fencing. The father, who's now looking after the cygnets on his own, his fellows. The salient point is really that the retriever managed to find a way in through the fencing.
But you said that also you felt you needed to intervene to protect the swan.
Too quickly, so I rushed over to this here, and I saw it was someone whose young dog was out of control.
Where exactly you saw the dog?
So the dog was here, and it had got in, so that it wasn't even on a leash at that time. So we managed to feed the lead through here and put it round this bit of fencing. But we had to haul the dog out, and that was a bit of a feat as well.
Yeah.
Sort of repeat exercise of the cygnets being even more traumatised and the father.
She survived that time.
Yeah.
See? There's Wallace. There's Wallace. There's I think everyone is hoping that her life with Wallace will now be a happy and carefree one.